And so often we try to seal it all together and make it all look pretty, but we never fucking build the interior and we never build the foundation. And then one day there's a big gust of wind and it comes and it fucking blows the whole building over. And when the building falls down and it's exposed, you realize the foundation was made of fucking sand.
Welcome to the Conscious Leadership Podcast, where soulful entrepreneurship and holistic mind-body wellness meet to help you heal, discover your soul's purpose, and change the world. I'm your host, Gabby Ortega, entrepreneur, psychology expert, social media maven, and soulful leadership coach. And it's my mission to empower you into becoming the light leader you're meant to be. Each episode will be diving deep into topics that will help you gain personal mastery over your healing and mind-body wellness, while also giving you practical tips and tools to help you create, market, and scale a heart-centered business around your soul's purpose and life mission. Whether you're in the beginning of your self-awakening journey or a seasoned inner work god or goddess who's ready to step into their leadership as a soulpreneur, this is going to be your new favorite place to be. We know that you don't just want to feel happier and more fulfilled, but you want to deeply know yourself and powerfully step into your life's purpose while creating massive abundance around your mission. That's why I've created this podcast for you, the light leader of the next generation. Welcome home. I'm so glad you're here. Hey guys, welcome back to the Conscious Leadership Podcast. Today we have one of my very close friends, Sam Altieri. Hey girl.
Hi, I am so excited to be here. I wish you guys listening could just see my smile through this camera right now. I'm like staring at Gabby like, yay.
Oh my God. Yeah. Cause we've been talking about having you on the show for a while because literally we're like the same person.
Yeah.
And we totally met by chance on Instagram through a mastermind that we're both in with Amanda Bucci. And I was like, oh my God, you're like my twin flame. And I have to show you to my people and I have to make sure that they know who you are, because if they are not following you and getting jazzed up by your dancing, like they are missing out.
Dancing brings me life.
Oh my God, it's the best. It's the best. So you guys, anyway, Sam Altieri is not just like a very good friend of mine that I decided to bring on this podcast. She also helps high achieving women prioritize their needs, honor their bodies, and gain confidence to achieve their dreams. She coaches women essentially to be fucking badasses, which I love. And I was asking her so describe to me what you do exactly, because I know she does so many different things. And she's like, I just essentially coach women to be badasses. And I think there's no better way to put it than that. Yeah, she just teaches you how to own your shit. And she also has an amazing podcast called Balance with Sam. And that is all about wellness and healing and good energy and just, again, being a badass. So go check that out as well. And recently, kind of like me, she's pivoted into the soulful business coaching space. So it's been really interesting kind of growing in this space with you over the last few months. So here she is, y'all.
I'm here, baby. Buckle up, get a pen, let's go.
Oh my God, I love it. Literally right before this, we were just laughing so hard and talking about everything. And I was like, okay, we have to hit record. Otherwise we are just going to miss all the juicy shit. So welcome. Today we're going to talk to you guys about social media. Instagram and building a community and how to get engaging followers, and really not just getting the numbers, which is great and great for our ego. We feel really jazzed up, but getting the soulmate audience members that are going to invest in you and your brand. It's really nice to have a big following, no lie, totally great. But if they're not people who are engaged, who really want to be a part of your business, then is it really a following that you want to have, right? So we're going to dig into all of that today. But first, I'd like to ask you the seminal question. What makes you feel like your most light leader self?
Yeah, I think so. My initial reaction is whenever I'm in flow. And whenever I'm in flow is when I'm podcasting and when I'm dancing. It's like those two things, they're very flowy, like it's either word flow or like movement body flow. Both of those things, I feel like a fucking queen. And as somebody who has never seen her beauty or purpose or owned her voice until very recently, this is such a new thing for me and I'm like fucking loving it. Like dancing without caring what anybody thinks, like whether it's
Yes.
fucking twerking or it's like lyrical or like hip hop or like I'm gonna put on Missy Elliott and like jam out and twerk so hard, you know, like, or it's like,
Yes.
or it's podcasting with you or whoever and just going deep. Like the deeper that we can go transformationally and like in conversation, I think the more that we can change and the more that lives around us get to change. And that's really like, that's what lights me the fuck up. I just love going deep. It's that sounds dirty.
Yes.
But like,
No. I love you so much. Yes. I mean, and is that really like a bad thing in the other sense either? I don't know. Is it not?
We'll let you decide.
We'll let you decide, guys. But in terms of like going deep and having like deep conversations and digging into your own juicy like shadow work and like your, you know, whatever it is that makes you come alive, I'm the same exact way. It's gotten to the point where I think I'm bad in social environments now.
Oh my God, I was literally just thinking this to myself yesterday.
Really? Okay. I'm not the only one, you guys.
I'm not a normal person anymore.
No, I don't know how to be a normal person. And I think that happens like when you have your big self awakening, your spiritual awakening, your conscious awakening, whatever you want to call it, and you start to dig deep, you just no longer can play in the shallow, you know, parts of the pool anymore. So yeah, it's very interesting. And I actually think a lot of our listeners can agree. They're probably like, oh my God, I feel like I don't, like my friends don't get me, or I no longer like, you know, I'm under like on their level, or we're understanding each other and vibing. And like, I'm all alone here. So it's it's
Totally.
a thing.
I also think like the reason why that I'm so obsessed with it, and I don't know if you can relate, but like growing up, I had a lot of confidence and self-esteem issues. And like, I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was beautiful. I didn't think I was pretty or skinny enough or whatever enough. And the thing I did know how to do was get validated based on my like maturity. Like, I was always told, oh my God, like she's so mature for her age. Like I started school a year early and I always was the teacher's pet and all the older kids liked me. Like I always wanted to just be older and wiser. And I think that that old soul part of me always craved that validation. And so I literally chased like personal development and like spiritual growth, whether I knew it or not, because it felt good, because people noticed it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm still like, I don't do it anymore to get validation. It's just that I'm like obsessed with learning about it and like helping other people see their own depth. And it also was very much a pattern of mine that was like, ooh, you get validated, keep doing this, right? So, and that's something I recently just dug into. I'm like, oh my God, that is why I'm so obsessed with healing and the inner work and like the juiciness.
Yeah. It almost like plays into that high achieving, like you and I are both like those high achieving kids, you know, who did like everything and did them the best and like felt like we needed to. And I think that definitely plays into that perfectionism, that wanting to be the best. I want to be the best at my therapy. Like I always thought I was going to like win at therapy. I'm like, I'm going to go in there and like give this therapist the experience of her life, you know? Or I'm going to show her that like, I really understand this stuff and I'm, you know, changing and I'm the perfect therapy student, like whatever that is. It really just like, it does, like it ekes into like the different areas of your life. You're awakening. You're like, I'm going to be the best awakened person ever, dig deep and deeper, deeper and deeper and deeper. And the really funny thing is like, I kind of got caught in this cycle of like, almost like forgetting that there is joy, like, because I would dig so deep and I was like in this space of like, ooh, this stuff is so juicy and interesting and like dark and like I'm figuring things out. But then I like wouldn't leave to like go have fun for 5 minutes, which is not healthy either.
Literally me. I recently just realized like, oh, it's also like, it's not a good I don't want to say it's not a good thing, but it's like figuring out what your tolerance is and then giving yourself permission and space to integrate what you've learned. So you're not constantly like in pain. Like I was like addicted to the inner, like doing the inner work instead of just being the inner work. And like navigating those two things, I think is also going to be a lifelong journey. But like, holy crap, I remember hearing that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a doer. And I've been doing my whole life, and doing the inner work is no different. And I get to just practice it now and just be it.
Yeah. And kind of instead of 100% of the time being self-aware and like doing the inner work, also finding space to like step away, get back to like maybe the present moment and enjoying what's in front of you, so that you can jump back in, even stronger.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. We're like the same person. You guys go check her out and give her love. She's amazing.
I'll give you a love right back.
Yeah, I know, like literally. And I was just about to say, like, your presence on social media has been such a gift for my feed. Thank you for like always showing up. And I think that what I really love about your Instagram page is that it's super, super positive, but it's not like bypassing. It's not fake. You're genuinely like, you and I are kind of the same in that like we love to feel joy. We're like, yeah, this feels good. I want this. And so you exude that joy, and it's so contagious. And then you're teaching us about how to, love our bodies and how to work on our eating and how to work on things to like physically get set. But now you're moving into even more the inner work now too, which is like so exciting. But your presence is incredible. Your followers are like, they love you, and the energy that you give them and they give you, it's just so great. And I think that's why you have as large of an audience as you do, that are people who then invest in the things that you create, because they're like, God damn, this girl gives me so much value for free. I can't imagine what it would be like to be a part of one of her paid services. So this is something that is the basis of what I teach in OLA. It's basically how I grew. I never grew with like paying ads and like doing weird sleazy tactics, or like getting on the hype train of like, oh, we're doing like a giveaway loop. If you follow these people and follow these people, if you join on, you'll get 5,000 followers. It's like the amount of crap I get in my DMs about this shit is like so annoying. So long story short, like, you can build your tribe organically, your group, I should say, excuse me. But you can build your group organically, your community, and have it be super, super fucking strong by doing certain things versus like having to be gimmicky or salesy or gross. So I'd like to start off with like, what are some ways, I guess, that you kind of attract your ideal clients and attract your following so that it grows?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. And I love you. And I think that the biggest thing like is for sure energy. Like social media is just like an energy exchange. And I now realize that. But when I first started, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing at all. All I knew, like my background is in architecture. Like originally undergrad and grad school was in architecture. And so I was a good designer, and that's what I knew. I knew how to teach on the topic of health and fitness, and I knew how to make pretty infographics. And so I did what I knew, and I showed up every day consistently. So that was like the first thing. I didn't go outside of my scope. Like I stayed with what I knew, I learned. And I think from the very, very beginning, like my goal was to never make money, and also my goal was to never get big, because I had such a I was like, I just want to help people. Like, I just want to show up and like share my journey and like, and that's beautiful and it's well intentioned. And now I see and we can create massive abundance when we are living in our purpose and asking and all of those things. But when I first started, I was showing up there just consistently. I was like, I have something to say and it could help somebody, and I'm just going to keep showing up. And so I made a promise to myself. It was back in 2017, I think. I'm just going to post once a day for 365 days. It was like a challenge.
What? I love that. That's a big challenge, a whole year.
Huge challenge. I don't recommend it, to be honest. But it taught me a lot about detaching how you feel from what you do. So like, don't let your emotions dictate your actions, right? Like if I didn't feel like posting that day, I was like, that's fine. I don't feel like it. I'm going to do it anyways. And it was like this, there was definitely some like force involved in that part of my life. But the thing that it did teach me was that confidence and that consistency muscle, which when people know that you're going to post, they expect it, right? Like it's this exchange. And so I started to show up there. I started to share what I had learned, what I sucked at, what I was working on, what I recommended, like what I've tried and didn't work. And people started noticing, people started following me and started joining along. And I think that consistency paired with my, I guess, my shamelessness around the struggle, all of my struggles, was a perfect cocktail for growing an audience, because I was like, hey guys, I just ate like an asshole yesterday, but it's okay. I'm going to get back on track today. Like, it's not a big deal. Right. And it was that, like, I would always get DMs like, I can't believe you're a coach talking about the fact that you struggle with the things that you coach on. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you're surprised. And I realized over the course of the past 4 years being a coach is a lot of coaches don't talk about the things they struggle with. And that makes you
Yes.
really unrelatable. And
Yep.
that your clients don't want to, your clients are never going to be your clients because they don't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I built trust doing the only thing I knew how to do, which was talking about the stuff that I struggled with. And it was almost like I fell into that by accident, because I was trying to just like get rid of my shame around the struggle, which the struggle for me was like binge eating, body dysmorphia, orthorexia, like every single body image and food issue thing you could ever imagine I had. And I had fallen kind of victim to that dieting culture, and I didn't really understand what I had gotten myself into. And the only way I knew how to get out was by sharing and just being like, I hope someone can fucking help me. Even if I can help myself, and just sharing. If this helps somebody feel like it's okay that you just ate a half a chocolate sheet cake, great, because I just did yesterday, right? And it was like,
Yes.
it was the first like real honest vulnerable thing I remember sharing on my static feed, and I got so much feedback. I was pooping my pants. Like, I hit submit, I threw my phone, I remember this so vividly, I threw my phone across the room. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I just told the world that I just ate half a chocolate cake. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm such a psycho. Who the fuck does that?
Oh
Like, I
my
have
God.
a problem, right? And the amount of feedback I got was like, oh my gosh, like, I am so happy you just said that. Like, you validated me like this, like I've done that, and thank you for making me not feel alone. And it was that. It was, thank you for making me not feel alone. And that happened again and
Yeah.
again and again and again. And it happens every single time I share. And I will be the first one to say that my boyfriend, can surely tell you what goes on behind the scenes, which is a fucking clusterfuck. Like, I am such a human. I'm such a human. And it's not a bad thing. And when we share that side of ourselves that is so human, it's like, oh, she's a real person. She's not some bullshit Instagram influencer. Like, I am not. I am the farthest thing from that. No, I am a messy, authentic, real human. And that's what all my clients now say to me. They're like, thank you so much for like sharing the shit you struggle with, because we know you get it. And so you can help us out. And like, like, that is the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Share, like,
Yeah.
be your fucking self. Don't try. The more you hide, the more people will be hidden from your truth. And like, we get to change, and we get to help transform, and we get to do all these beautiful things, create this ripple just by being us. And it's so cool that like my struggles are the things that like me and my potential clients or my current clients or people in my audience relate to. And then I show them, but there's another way out. And this is how I've navigated that. And this is what I've tried 10 times and didn't work, but this thing worked for me. Try it too, maybe. I don't know. And it's like, oh, yeah, I want to work with her. Right. And so it's like that engagement has just built solely by consistency and the trust. And those have been coming up with keeping that promise to myself of like, hey, as long as I know one more thing than somebody else, I can help them. And if I share what's going on in my life, chances are hundreds of thousands of other people are experiencing that same exact thing right in this very moment and are feeling like they're the only one.
Yeah. Oh my God, you guys. I hope you were taking all the notes. This is like, first of all, literally exactly how I built my community as well. Like I, number one, did not go into it wanting to make money or thinking that I would monetize. Um, Number two, I went into it in a time when I was in a deep, deep healing journey, and I had very little shame left. I think
Mhm.
I had done so much shit at that point that I was like, all right, the worst I can do is just share.
Yeah.
And seeing how that vulnerability, by the way, I also felt like I was going to poop my pants, you guys, like this, and this doesn't change. Like I've been doing this for a couple of years. You've been doing this for a couple of years. Does it get any easier when you post something super vulnerable? Maybe like a little, because you've done it before, but at the same time, it's still that same like, oh my God, what am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? Is this going to ruin my whole like everything, or is this going to be like actually helpful?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, and that happened to me the other day. I shared someone had like sent me a nasty comment. I think I showed you this, and they
This
called me
was
like
ridiculous.
yeah, they
I
called
couldn't
me a
believe it.
fat pig.
Ugh.
And he had messaged me a few times, and then he commented on my static post, and I just went off in my story about how it's not okay and all this stuff, and I was like, I'm not gonna like really bother putting it on my static page, and I was like, why not? And it was fear. It was like 100% fear. And that fear, and also fear that it didn't matter enough to be worthy enough to be posted and shared. And I was like,
Mm,
no, this can show women that because if I was in a really bad place and someone had called me that, like maybe a year ago, or even like, I don't know, a year or like 18 months ago, I would have lost my shit, gone into a binge eating spiral, beat myself up, over exercised. Like it would have been this whole fucking awful spiral. And I never want to go back to that place ever again. And I never, ever want any woman to have to suffer through that. And so I was like, if this post helps one woman not go into that fucking cycle, then job is done. And it was like not trying to, it wasn't trying to do anything. It was more just showing like this is not fucking okay. And we all deserve to be treated with respect. And my body is not up for criticism. I did not ask you to give me your opinion on what my body
mhm,
looks like. And I also know that I am not a fat pig. And I know that you must be really hurting right now for you to send a comment like that multiple times.
mhm.
And it was like lesson upon lesson upon lesson upon lesson. And sharing that, like, God, it was crazy the amount of like outpouring love and engagement. I hadn't seen that type of engagement on a post of mine in recent times. And it was like, whoa, this is more of the content I need to share. It's hard. It is hard to share. And
Yeah.
it takes thought and intentionality. But it is so much better to post that stuff that actually can create impact and that's coming from your truth than to create stuff that doesn't matter, to share stuff that doesn't matter, like to post just to post. Gabby and I were just talking about this before we hit record. Like I was catching myself in that little loop, like just to show up, like, oh, I'm just going to post a post. I'm going to post a post. And that was when I was in that 365-day challenge. Like I was doing that a lot because you can't possibly have something to say every day that's that
Yeah.
deep and meaningful. Like that requires a lot of energy. And
Mhm.
so it was a lot of like filler stuff. And that's okay. That was what I needed to do at that time. And now I've been sharing a lot less, but every time I post, it's very intentional and there's a lesson of some sorts behind it, or a
Mm.
vulnerability or a oh my God, I'm sharing this with you right now moment.
Yeah, I think like something that we really forget is that behind those that whatever number is on your page and whatever handle, screen names people have, it's a human being behind that phone, behind that computer, behind that iPad, whatever they're looking at. And if they, like you said, can feel like less alone in the world, and they can see that there are other people like them who are struggling and still successful and still going after what they want and still believing in themselves and
Mhm.
still giving themselves permission to change and to grow and to make mistakes, then like maybe I can too. It gives hope. And I think hope is such a huge, huge thing right now, especially to
Yeah.
be a resource for hope. And just by being you, just by saying, hey, it's okay, let's make this normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a huge part of the work I do, is like normalizing human experience. Really, is like, it's okay if you have fucking stomach rolls, right? It's okay if you just binge ate brownies last night. It's okay if you don't know what the fuck you're doing in your business. It's okay if you're not making money right now. Like, there's so many it's okays that I wish that I had growing up, or even when I started my business. And I was solely just like, the way that I started my business was like almost beating myself up at the beginning, because I was like, gotta do more, like never gonna be good enough. This like constant hamster wheel chasing, and very much like the masculine energy of like force um and just keep going, like it's never enough. And knowing that that was a horror wound for me. Like, I didn't feel good enough growing up, and so that manifested itself in my business and everything that I did. My following count, my likes, my DMs. Why am I not getting more? That was always a thing. Like, if 10 people commented, it would be like, well, why didn't more comment? Like, I wasn't focused on what I had. I wasn't grateful for those people, or I wasn't even responding to them. It was like I was too good to respond to those people. Like, where were the other people? And when I took that, I moved my point of focus from what I didn't have to really trying to nurture what I do have. I think that's where it really changed for me, is like if you think of it this way, like, why the hell would you ever be given more to be grateful for if you can't be grateful for what you currently have? And that can apply to money, that can apply to a following, that can apply to clients, that can apply to the amount of love in your relationship. It can apply to anything, health. If you don't take care of what you have, why would you be given more to be grateful for? And I've seen that show up in every part of my life.
I've seen it show up in mine, my clients, my family, my friends. Like, absolutely. There seems to be this pattern that I'm recognizing within everybody who's kind of doing this major leveling up in their lives, that when you reach a block and you're like, I'm not making more money, I'm not getting more followers, I'm not like actually seeing growth or movement, really look at that and ask yourself, not am I doing enough, but am I actually open to this? Does this feel safe to have more followers? Does this feel safe to have more money? I had a lot of fear around and a lot of discomfort around abundance and being seen.
Same.
And until I allowed myself to be fully seen and share my vulnerability and kind of call in that courage, things didn't move. And when I did, whoo, baby, like it was almost like it was overwhelming. And then when I worked on my money mindset stuff and really like did a lot of deprogramming work, I would say, around being scared of abundance, around feeling uncomfortable with wealth, coming from a first generation immigrant family. Like, it was like, you do not talk about money, you work, and whatever you have, it's for the family, or it's, you share, or it's like, it's never like it was always like a give it away, it's a bad thing, it's like, it's a greedy thing, or whatever it might be. And that was very unconscious. It wasn't like it was actually, these were things being said to me, but it was in the interactions, like seeing, my mom cover the bill for everybody when they would come over. And it was something that I thought was normal, like, or that when we would go out, if someone else even invited us, she'd be like, oh, no, I'll just take care of it. Like giving her money away, like buying gifts for people that like, it was really sweet, but it wasn't necessary. You know what I mean? Or buying expensive things, and it really was, I think, ultimately a discomfort with having so much. And I see it in myself, because when I started to grow my business, like, mind you guys, like I was still working at my corporate job and launching this business not even a year ago. I was making $3,000 a month last October, 2019. I have made almost $300,000 this year.
Something epic.
So talk about like being thrown into this, like it was so scary. It was so much. And this is like, sounds so privileged. And I don't want anybody to think like I am acknowledging the privilege. This is amazing, but it was like a lot of hard work as well. And
For
I feel
sure.
very lucky. But I also really recognize that I put in, like you said, it's the consistency, but really showing up with something meaningful to say. And it was like working on creating those connections and then working on that inner mindset stuff around releasing the fear of being seen and being powerful and having influence, which is like what we're all doing here. You know, when you build this platform, you really are building a literal platform to stand on, to share your beliefs, to teach, to uplift others, to help. Like, this is not for me a vehicle for making money. Money is the energy exchange for everything that you do for yourself and that you put into your business, your social media following, how you show up, and kind of all of that energy that it takes, you know? So yeah, so it's, I think if you are feeling that, back to what I was saying, like if you're feeling like you're in a place where you're like, oh, I'm really not getting like any movement in my followers. People are coming and going, and I'm pretty clear about my message. I'm showing up consistently. Ask yourself if there's anything that's maybe blocking you in terms of fears around being seen fully. If you're not being like really fully seen and you're just showing your highlight reel, people are not going to relate to that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I noticed it like super, like it's so obvious when I go, like if I'm in a weird place, like myself, like if I'm in a weird energy and I'm not showing up fully on social, I can tell. Like it's very obvious to me, the response that I get or the lack of response that I get. And it's such a good reminder because it's way easier to just not show up. It is.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here, is to show up for others and so that they can show up for others. And like it's that ripple effect. And it's almost like I've come to a place of when I feel really awful, like if I have low moments, sometimes what I do is I just go on my story and I just start talking about it. This happened to me the other night. And it was just it turned from like me being really sad and frustrated with myself to just extreme amounts of gratitude for all of my clients and all of the money in my bank account and all of the abundance and the business and my boyfriend and health and like all the things I do have. And it was so cool. Like just by doing that brain dump to the world, right? It's like Instagram stories is like my journal.
I love that. No, it's so true. I feel the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great because it helps people. It does. It's like so cool. And so I think really like, back to your first question, like how do you build an engaging community? It's like that, right? It's like when you hang out with your friends, if you only talk about what the weather's like and your favorite color, you're going to have a pretty shallow relationship. But if you talk about, oh, my boyfriend just like fucking won't have sex with me and I don't know what's going on. And like, you're like, I have this weird chin hair. Like, what's going on here? Like, if
You
you
go
talk
deep.
about that shit, yeah, like you build depth and connection. And it's the same exact thing on social. It's just that you're behind a screen. And so you actually have to put, I believe, you get to put in more work because there's a lot of bullshit out there. And so filtering through that. And usually people can pick up pretty easily on your energy, but building that like know, like, and trust factor, that trust happens through the deeper stuff and not the surface
Absolutely.
level.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. And so guys, like what I like to tell my clients is you need to be doing your parallel processing at the same time that you are running your business, helping clients, growing your social media, or if you're not like even there yet, if you're just, just figuring it out, like playing around with your Instagram for the first time and seeing what is the potential here for a business, like give yourself lots of permission to play, to explore, don't put any pressure on yourself to monetize and really do your parallel processing so that you can share, meaning, journal every night. Do your meditation, go to therapy, go get a coach. I have a coach, you have a coach and a
I have, like,
therapist.
fucking
I'm
4
getting a
coaches.
therapist soon that I actually got in touch with, who I love. It's very hard for me to find a therapist that I gel with, but it's like, do your own inner work, and then you'll be able to share it with other people in a way that it's vulnerable, yes, but it's in a healthy, boundaried way that feels safe. And that's the other thing. I think that there's a misconception around what is it to be vulnerable and what is it to be transparent. There are things that I do not share on social media until I'm ready. And that's okay too. It doesn't mean you're being fake, that you're hiding it, that you're only sharing the highlight reel. But you're getting vulnerable about things that you have already processed for yourself. You've sat with it, you've cried, you've dealt with it. There may be other things that are like, oh, I'm having a really rough day and I just want to jump on a story and talk about it. That's totally, obviously that's fine. It's whatever feels good and safe for you. But there may be other things that are deeper wounds that you're not sure how to approach it. And maybe you're like, oh, this is still really sensitive for me. I don't want to talk about it. That's okay. Process it for yourself so that you can be open to sharing about it.
100%. I like to use the analogy with my clients and myself, just as a reminder, is like, show your scars, not your wounds. And
love that. Oh, that's
yeah,
so good.
It's like it, because you'll know when it's no longer a wound. There's like way less emotional charge around it. You don't get all like, oh, right? 2 years ago, if you had asked me if I wanted to share about my chocolate cake binge story, like I told you, I threw my phone across the room. I was freaking the fuck out. It was a big deal for me because I had never talked about it. It was scary. It did not feel safe. I thought everyone was going to judge me. People were going to unfollow me and leave me. Like, I was like, my family's going to think I'm a psycho. Like, I had all of these crazy beliefs, and they weren't crazy. That's just like what I was feeling in the moment. And now I can very openly talk about the fact that 2 weeks ago, I ate an entire jar of funfetti frosting because I wanted to get over that as a fear food of mine. And I was like, I'm just going to sit here with a spoon and eat it. And I did. And it was fucking delicious. And then I felt like absolute ass for the next day because I was like pooping out straight frosting. Right? So like, I needed to do that. Now I never need to sit with a jar of frosting again. Thank God I can get that out of my life. Like, cool, did that, next. Now I own it. But like, while I was in the midst of that feeling, like I had no control around myself with frosting, it didn't feel good. I felt so like, I'm like, am I a coach? Like, do I even know what I'm doing? Like, all this imposter syndrome comes up. You're like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why do I want to eat all of this food? And it was this moment of like, okay, Sam, just let it happen and then process it. And I did, and then share it. And it's so powerful when you actually integrate the lesson and don't share it too soon. I say that from experience because my my impulsivity can sometimes get the best of me, and I can share too soon. Like, I'm not ready to talk about it, and it's also not fully integrated, and I don't fully embody it. And then it ends up being hard for me to guide others through it because I'm not yet aware of what's that next step, because I don't even know. I'm still in it.
Yeah.
So I think, just like for you guys listening, when you are on your stories or in your posts, whatever, sharing, finding a stretchy but doable is like the metric I like to use. Does it scare you a little bit? But is it going to make you throw up? If it's going to make you throw up, maybe dial it back a notch. Like, you can start slow, and I really encourage you to, because you don't want to go so hard that you never want to show up again. And I can say that from my all or nothing past. I'm unlearning that all or nothing mentality. It's like, you can just do a little bit and it's okay.
Yeah, I definitely that's how I handled it as well. I started to see a trend when I was first posting, that I would post things about, general theories, psychological theories or concepts like attachment theory or cognitive dissonance or things like that. And yeah, those would get like shared and people were really digging them, but there wasn't much engagement. But I would talk about something about my personal experience and journey, and I would get so many followers, so much engagement. So I started to see that trend early on, and I kind of rode with it. And it's interesting that we are a mirror for everyone around us. Whether they react positively or negatively doesn't really matter. It's just a reflection of where they are in their journeys because they don't actually know us personally. You know what I mean? And it was interesting seeing how many people, even just talking about not the super deep stuff that I got into later, I talked about suicidality a couple of times, but that was after I'd been, around for a hot minute. And I started by talking about sometimes I get sad, and that felt safe. I was like, sometimes I have really down days where I feel kind of hopeless and I can't get out of bed. And, this is what I do to kind of manage that, So, and those are the ones that really hit home. And I think what you talked about with trust, that is the core element of growing an engaged community, is building trust. And how do we build trust? Through being transparent, through being vulnerable in a healthy way that's healthy for us, being real at the end of the day, essentially, which is cool because as a coach, you get to do this. If you're coming from a therapy world, you really don't get permission to do this at all, which is oh my God, isn't that great? We get to be fully human. And we get to also walk people through their own journeys and support and be influencers in a very positive way.
Yes, totally. I think it's the storytelling, right? The emotionality of a platform that can fall flat if not, because at the end of the day, that's what connects you to people and to stories and to that's why Disney is so successful, right? They have mastered the story. They get you attached to the characters. They build up the scene. They create some intense situation, right? And then there's a good ending. And there's a reason why Disney, Pixar, all of these movies, they draw you in because they're built on this emotional stepping up and this ladder, and then it comes down and you buy into them. You start to love them. You start to feel like you can relate. And I think about that all of the time with social. I think there's a book, I think I have it over here. Building a Story Brand, by Donald Miller. Such a powerful book because he talks about the power of your story. And I think there's especially starting out in entrepreneurship, you can feel like your story doesn't matter. At least that's how I felt. I felt like my story didn't matter. I was like, why would anyone care about me? My story is I'm just Sam, I'm just from this little town, blah, blah, blah. And all these things. And it's oh, wait, my story actually does matter. And it's taken me 3 to 4 years of being a coach to realize that and to fully step into my power. And I've only done that in the past 3 months, stepping into that conscious leadership space of being no, I have a fucking story. Let me tell you about it. Do you have a hot minute? You might need a few hours. Sit down. Let's talk. We'll dig in. Pour yourself a cup of coffee. Let's go. And I matter just as much as the next person. And when I caught myself in that negative talk loop, I'm no, that's total bullshit. Because if Gabby was to say that to me, I'd be like, what are you talking about? You matter. Stop that nonsense.
Yeah.
And, we're always our own worst enemy and worst critic, and really reminding myself of that. I have sticky notes all over the place up in my office, to remind myself of the truth, because I had such a pattern of, the negative self-talk, low self-esteem, low confidence, that I literally still remind myself, because it's such an unlearning process for me to fully embody the new confidence that I do have, that it's not yet just who I am. I have to consciously choose it every day until it just becomes a habitual action and mindset and emotional state that I am.
This is a soup for my soul. No, this is so great, because I think there are, and also I hear about just horror stories. I have a girl who is just incredible, who just joined the Ignite program, and she had actually originally interviewed for the first round of the mastermind that I did back in March, and ended up going with a different coach. And in this experience, which was really unfortunate, this coach, she paid a lot of money for. This coach was not reachable in terms of email or anything during the program, very low touch. And then this person convinced the client that they had to spend hundreds of dollars on paid ads, and that's how they're going to grow their business. Yeah. So no storytelling, no inner work. None of the things that we're talking about here. And it really blew my mind that actually it's pretty much the norm to get taught how to do gimmicky hashtag tricks and, like manipulation and like make people feel like time is running out and here's a special deal and all these like weird gimmicky things or paid ads, which by the way are not bad. Like I use them intentionally, but very, very, very like few and far between. Like I could say I probably spent maybe like $200 a year on maybe like ads, like not even anything that big.
I think I spent $10 on one Facebook ad once, and I was like, nope, this does not feel good.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good because that's the thing. We are not here to convince anyone that we're worthy. We're not here to convince anyone to join, right?
Let that sink in.
Oof. Right? You are not here to convince anyone that what you've created and who you are is worthy of being paid for. That dynamic, that relationship that you're going to have with that client or with the way that you do your work is going to feel really shitty. It's going to feel like you're always not doing enough. You're never going to feel good enough. You're always going to be chasing it to try and please other people versus sitting back really in that powerful feminine receptive energy of like, I am here. Here is my story. My story is important. Even if I don't see it right away, we never know how it's affecting somebody else.
Yeah.
Even if you're just one step ahead of them, giving someone permission in some way just by showing up and being you, that you can really like build a hugely successful business. Like I am not lying to you guys. I built a business from $0 to $300,000 in under like a year, I would say, like maybe a little over a year if you add when I was like really struggling without a coach and like making like a couple $100 here and there. But really when I got like dug into the business was last October. And I built my following for a year without monetizing simply from the, hey, I'm just sharing who I am. And like, I've decided to let go of shame because if it's all hanging out, then like, there's literally nothing you could say or do that's going to hurt me.
Well, that's exactly it. It's like, you can't hurt me. Like it's a very insane, I don't want to say power move, but place to be where it's like, you can call me and say and do whatever you want. And I know the truth. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's when we try to hide the imperfections, the growing pains, the growth process, like when we try to hide the messiness, that's when we get into trouble because we're going to feel like imposters because no one's perfect, It is what it is. And no one can take your power away from you when you own your story.
Yeah, for sure. That's so beautiful. And I think it's just like, it's such a testament to both of our successes. Like, it's hard. It is. I just want to also just acknowledge, like, it is hard work to do that. And it can be scary. And there's a lot of people that aren't willing to do that. Like, and that's also okay. Right? Like, it's okay if that's not what you want to do. And if it is, Gabby and I will be the first people to tell you that there's a lot of fucking freedom and peace and joy and twerking on the other side of that.
So much twerking on the other side, guys. So much joy.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like, I am very much so a work in progress. I just want to be like really clear. Like I'm really deep in my healing process right now. Just like uncovering eating disorder stuff that I didn't actually know. Like I didn't know I had an eating disorder until talking to a therapist. Like I thought I just like had a bad relationship with food. And it's like, no, I've had a full-blown fucking eating disorder and I've been trying to manage it. And I've had body dysmorphia for years and didn't know it. And I have just had all of these things that I'm now unpacking and uncovering and unlearning and realizing that I'm good enough as I am, whatever size I am, no matter what, I am good enough. And that is still a story that I get to work on. Like every time a new situation comes up that asks me that question, are you sure you're good enough? Right? Like You got to prove yourself here. And I think that, it's the beautiful part of healing is like it doesn't end. So there's no rush.
We have like
But
forever until the day we die to
yeah,
grow.
yeah, right. And like leaning into that and trying to enjoy it as much as possible. Like it doesn't have to be painful. And I think that going back to what we were talking about earlier, I think all of the inner work, it's almost like I was chasing the pain. Like I was like, how deep can I go? Right. And like making it making it impossible for me to move forward because I was so stuck in the mud with where I was before. And so look, like I was looking back too much. And like your past doesn't define your future. Like you get to create that. And really remembering that, like from today moving forward, you can rewrite your story, you can change whatever you're doing, your social media strategy, your business, the way you show up, who you want to be. You can literally recreate yourself at any time. And there's times that are easier to do that, like when you've just moved across the country or like when you're out of a new relationship or whatever. And there's harder times to do it. But at the end of the day, like you can do it anytime. And I think that's a message I want to also just share with your audience. And it's the one that I tell my clients all the time is like, I don't care what you've done in the past. It doesn't define you. Right? I don't care. Like do you have a medal around your neck telling me about all your accomplishments and all your failures? No, I will never fucking know. Only you know that. And it doesn't matter. Right? Like you get to decide where you're going. So let's focus on moving your head in the forward direction. Looking back is how you hurt your neck and recreating the future that you want. Like it's like the analogy I like to make just because I was in architecture is like when you design a building, you don't design the roof first and the facade, like the windows, the walls, the outer walls. You don't design those first, right? You build the foundation. You build a really fucking strong foundation with concrete and rebar and all the things. And then you put in structural steel and then you lay the floor slabs and then you build the elevator shaft and then you put in the floors and then you put up the walls and then the windows and then you seal it all together. And so often we try to seal it all together and make it all look pretty, but we never fucking build the interior and we never build the foundation. And then one day there's a big gust of wind and it comes and it fucking blows the whole building over. And when the building falls down and it's exposed, you realize the foundation was made of fucking sand.
Ooh.
And that's what
Damn. Oh my God, this is so good.
Dude, like that's what I've just unpacked.
Wow.
I'm going to be 30 in a few months. And for the first 28 years of my life, my foundation was built on sand. It was built on fallacy. It was built on people telling me I wasn't good enough. It was built on stories and society telling me I had to look a certain way or be a certain way or fit into this small little box or like you can't have a big appetite or like you shouldn't say those things. And now I'm like, fuck that. That is not who I am. Actually,
Hell no.
I am loud and fun and I have a lot of energy and I'm not meant to be tamed. And I'm building my foundation with concrete and mad fucking rebar and structural steel. I'm gonna make this bitch so bulletproof you won't be able to ever blow me down. And now it's like nothing can hurt me, right? Like I have my foundation, I have my interior walls, I got all my structural steel in there. I'm good. Cool. If a wind comes by and a window rips off, just put a new one up on that. Cool. The whole house didn't blow down. And now I'm really feeling like that is the space I'm in. And it takes time. But working on yourself from the inside out is just like, oh God, it's worth it. Like I don't have to live the rest of my life in fear.
Oh my God, I love that. Let that soak in, you guys. It's just like, I think that, so often there is this misconception that we at this stage have it all figured out. You guys, we don't know what we're doing. We don't. We have
I
no
literally
fucking
don't know
idea.
what I'm doing
Like,
right now.
none of us know what we're doing, except that we have a set of skills. We have knowledge and stuff that we've learned over the years. We have a passion for what we do, and we have shameless transparency. And we've put it all together in a really solid fucking house that's become our business. And I think that that is what I hope to inspire, and you are as well already doing with people, and teaching that there doesn't have to be the way that we've always done it, that we don't have to always build these structures that are not so fucking solid just because we've been told that's the way we have to do it. You know, like, give yourself the time and the space and operate from a place of integrity like that, and of putting yourself first in many ways, and like allowing yourself to do the exact same things that you're probably going to ask your clients to do, or that you encourage your audience members to do. That is full integrity, that's alignment, and that is like being a really great role model and mentor and teacher for others. And then you don't have to, like you said, like, you don't have to worry about shit. I had somebody, I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't get triggered. Like, let me say that.
Yeah.
Like, I had somebody who reached out recently, like, who I don't know, like, they messaged me, and of course it's somebody who I haven't engaged with before. So it was like a new message.
Yeah.
And they were like, I've been following you for a few days now, and I'm already so sick of your coffee pours in the morning.
You're like,
and I
then
was like,
swipe
okay.
away, bitch.
I think like a couple of months ago, I would have been like, you know, like, I was still really triggered. And then I feel like I've really gotten like very settled into this space of like my foundation, like you're talking about, so that the window blew off, and I was like a little bit like, oh my God, this feels terrible. But I was able to be like, hey, like, no worries, man. Like, feel free to hit unfollow at any time. But, you know, again, thank you for boosting my engagement by DMing me, and for actually watching my stories, and for having a reaction, because that actually helps me, even if you don't love it. And also very curious that you would take all the emotional energy out of your day to let me know. You wanted me to know. You wanted me to be affected negatively by this comment. So it's always now looking at it through the lens of like, you know, if you can look at your followers like a mirror, like you're holding a mirror up, like, I wonder what I triggered within this person that they're not happy with within themselves, or they're struggling with, or they're not prioritizing, that now they are lashing out. You know what I mean? It's not that my coffee pour is boring. My coffee pour is hella fun. I spill it everywhere all the time. Watch, it's hilarious.
It's so creamy.
It's so creamy.
It is, though. That's always what I think. I'm like, wow, that looks thick as fuck.
It is thick as fuck, guys. There's also a recipe in my highlights under bulletproof if you want the recipe, but it's so good. And I get actually so many messages from people who are like, I look forward to this every single day. This makes me feel grounded. I actually had someone today, I'm not even kidding you, it was so funny. They reached out to me and they said, not this time, when I did the coffee pour. And then right under it, they said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That was for my sister. We watch your coffee pour story every day to see if you spill or not. And I was telling her that you didn't spill today. Oh my God, this one coffee story slide that I do every day is grounding people, is making people feel super connected to me. Like, I had someone say, I feel like I start my morning off with you every day. And then for another person, it's facilitating positive communication and interaction between her and her sister. Like, what?
Yes.
You never know how, like, the things that you think are the silliest, or that people might be like, this is dumb, or like, I don't understand this, might actually be helping like 10 other people for every one person that's like, I don't get it.
Dude, oh my God, you just reminded me, and I'm going to start doing this again. I used to do a daily breathe at 12 p.m. Like, I'd post because I needed to breathe. So I was like, well, if I post it on my story, then I'll also breathe. And I can't tell you the amount of people that were like, you remind me to breathe. And someone was like, bring it back. I was like, oh shit, I do need to, I'm going to bring it back. So
please bring it back, because I need to breathe. I'm going to follow that.
Yes. Yep. Daily breath, baby. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, I love that. Oh my God. See, guys, we're always making breakthroughs when we're going deep.
Fucking in the depths.
Oh,
in the depths with you.
So, okay. Well, this feels good. I really like this conversation. I'm so glad we're having it. I hope you guys who are listening that this is giving you some hope about not having to completely compromise who you are or like learn a whole bunch of weird salesy marketing tactics to
Yeah.
like build your audience and build your business because like this is what it is at the end of the day, doing your own inner work, sharing your journey, being vulnerable, having that courage. Making sure that you know who you're talking to, so you can help them and being consistent, showing up every day. And if you're in the therapy space, I often joke with my clients who are therapists slash coaches or therapists it's like attachment theory, right? So we are creating secure attachment bonds with our audience.
Mm.
So if you're thinking at it from that perspective, what creates secure attachments? Consistency, love, compassion, understanding, accepting validation, allowing people to be seen and heard, even if it's not pleasant, and being like, hey, I see and hear you. You sound really frustrated. What can I do? Or
Yeah.
I just, I hear you. That sounds really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And holding space for all of that in a way that like, in many ways, your Instagram page is a therapeutic container.
Yeah.
It
Totally.
contains your audience.
Yes.
So operate from that and you will see yourself grow. Go ahead and spend $500 on Facebook ads and be sad because it's never going to work. I'm just like, do not listen to anybody that tells you to do that shit because it is the fastest way to feel like a failure. And by the way, the girl who I was talking about has now joined this round of Ignite because she's like, I should have joined the first round. I should have just jumped in. Like I wanted to go with someone cheaper. And what it ended up doing was I ended up spending more money because even though the coaching was cheaper, their methodology was buy ads.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, which is like you have I think that's the big thing is like you as a light leader, you as the person listening, you have all of the power and tools inside of you. You actually don't need to buy anything. And the only thing that I would say that is really the thing that you may want to buy, you don't need to, but it's a definitely nice to have and will accelerate you is support. Right, is getting a fucking coach. And I'm obsessed with coaching. I have a coach, I have a health coach, I have a therapist, I have a financial coach, I have a business coach. And I didn't start with getting all four at once, but over time I've basically brought one at a time because I need help. And it does not make me weak. It means I have a big ass goal. I've changed so much about my life. I was once in a fuck ton of credit card debt. I was in a deep depression in 2015. I hated myself, and therefore hated everything around me. I was 30 pounds heavier than I am now. I had such awful relationship with food, body, all of those things. I didn't take care of myself. And now it's like a totally different world. I've never seen as much money in my bank account. I feel good in my body. I'm still working on that, coming out of an eating disorder, building my business, making multiple six figures, serving people, opening up containers, serving clients. And I'm like, wait, I'm actually like really enjoying my life. What the fuck?
like it's like you wake up and you're like, wait, hold on. We can do this? We can do this?
It's nuts. I literally have recreated my entire life in under 5 years. And I wasn't really using that many coaches at the beginning. Like if I had actually started with using coaches, I would have probably done it in 2.
Oh God, right. I look back and I'm like, I didn't have the money for it. I mean, I didn't have the money for my first coach, but I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to make it happen. Like, even if I don't have it, I can give the deposit and then I'm just like going to use whatever they teach me to like go and run with it. And again, it's also like, do your due diligence, make sure it's a coach that really feels aligned. Don't go with a cheaper coach because they're cheaper. Go with the person who you feel in your heart is going to get you where you want to go, because that is going to accelerate you a million times faster. And I couldn't agree more. October is when I really hit my business hard and I got my first coach, and I can never not have that support. It's insane.
Same here, girl. Because like someone needs to see your blind spots, right? Like you're never too good to have blind spots. It just doesn't work like that. So, and it's such a it's like fun. You get to do it with somebody. Like, hello, it's way more fun. Life is way more fun with doing it with somebody else. If you don't have a partner, this is your opportunity to do life with somebody else in this way. If you do have a partner, is a way to not use your partner as your business coach.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, I don't know if y'all who are listening struggle with this if you have started your business, but it's like your partner, whoever you're living with, like becomes like where you bounce all of your ideas off of. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it's like they don't want to hear about your
Yeah,
business
they're like, can
anymore.
you shut up? I want to play my video games.
Oh my God. Like Devin has been so amazing this whole time. I'll like run up to him and I'll be like, what do you think about this? And then he'll be like in the middle of studying. I don't know if you guys who are listening know this, but my boyfriend is currently getting his license to become a commercial airline pilot. And he's going to be doing, he wants to do cargo. He wants to fly all over the world and help people specifically do cargo medical supplies. So he wants to help really get all the medical supplies all around the world. And that's why he's jumping into the pilot, also he wants to be a pilot since he was like 9.
That's so sick.
It's so cool, but he's literally 24/7 studying. But anytime I run up to him, it's so sweet. Like I'll be like, hey, like, I don't know about this post. What do you think? And he'll like look at him and be like, well, maybe change like this thing, or like, oh no, it looks really good, And but after a while, it's like, your partner has to be able to like live their life. And the same thing with therapy, like, and coaching as well. Like you can't expect the people in your life, like friends and family, to be your best soundboards. Like if you're sitting here and you're listening to this podcast in your car or wherever you are on your walk, doing your dishes and cleaning or whatever lovely thing you're doing. And you're like, well, I asked my mom about my post, and I asked my sister, and I asked my brother, and my boyfriend helps, my girlfriend helps, or, whatever. But you're still not seeing movement. That's because they're not experts.
They're not the qualified support. Yeah, like qualified support is qualified for a reason, right? Like I can say that from experience too. I mean, Kurt is literally an angel. Like the amount of things that I ask him and share with him, and I'm like, bless your soul, you are going to just, you have so much good karma coming your way. Like I couldn't be any more grateful to have like the most amazing partner. And I also know when I'm like, he doesn't know the answer. And only I know the answer, and he doesn't know the questions to ask me, right? So it's like, who do I need to ask? Oh, my coach, not him.
Yeah, the questions that my coach pulls out of, like, I don't even know where. I'm like, oh God, this is like a good one. This is gonna get me where I need to go. Yes. Yeah, and it's just a beautiful thing to be able to have somebody who is, and a coach is essentially, guys, like a mentor. Like, hey, I've walked through this path. Yeah. It was fucking hard. I fell down a lot, made a lot of mistakes, hit my head against a wall. I remember sitting in my car, no lie, my mom and I were joking about this the other day. I remember sitting in my car like 6 months after I started the Instagram and not seeing my following really growing, not seeing things happening, and just feeling like totally defeated and just like crying in my car at work in my like 9-to-5 job where I was so miserable, being like, Mom, like, this isn't gonna work. Like, why isn't this working? I don't know what to do. Look, like I've been through this. I've had the meltdowns. We've had the meltdowns. Like we've had the trial and error. We've figured out ways to create this stuff as a sustainable business. And not only have we done it once, we've done it over and over and over again with different offerings, different programs. And both of us have actually gone through a huge brand pivot, which is an entirely different beast. You're losing a bunch of people. Yep. You're having to bring on a whole new ideal client base. It's like rebranding. It's like a whole like up in the air juggling act. Yep. But it's all possible.
Totally. Yeah, I'm very much in the pivot right now. Yeah. And there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of shifts, and it's a lot of trust in myself and in the process, in the universe, and all that it's going to work out, and all that is meant for me won't pass me, and really just keeping the course and not straying because I'm not seeing the external validation.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys, it was like, I want to say like 6 to 8 months of consistent posting 3 to 5 days a week. There were no stories back then. They had just like started, I would say like they started about 3 or 4 months into when I started my Instagram. But they were nowhere near as advanced as they are now. So, but I was posting 3 to 5 times a week and showing up, and it took me about 6 to 8 months to actually get anybody to really engage. To comment back. I would leave like in my captions, and you guys know this if you read my captions, every caption I leave a little thing to interact with me. I love talking with you guys. So I'm like, hey, what do you think? Leave me a comment or tell me about this, drop a comment, blah, blah, blah. Like literally, you have no idea. Like it was so sad. Maybe you do. I was like, I would wait for people to comment and no one would comment. And I'm like, no one cares. All those beliefs come up. Like, no one cares
Yeah.
what I have to
Yeah.
say. I'm not important enough. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is crazy. And then like month 8 or whatever, I got like a couple of comments on a post and I was like,
They see me.
and then I started interacting and then you start getting more and then you start getting more and then you hit kind of like I would say like a little energy flow where you really
Mhm.
do get picked up by the algorithm and it gets
Mhm.
easier to get that engagement. But again, it takes time to build that attachment, that secure attachment with your audience, that trust that's going to have them actually reach out and engage with you, because it's one thing for people to stand in the background and watch you. It's another thing to actually feel the courage enough to message you or
Yeah.
to comment. So yeah, give it that time to actually evolve and don't stop showing up. Don't stop being consistent.
Yeah. That's it. It's the secret sauce. It's unglamorous as fuck, but it works.
Just don't show up. It's almost like you're the annoying mosquito that's
Mhm.
like, I'm still
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. And you want to stay top of mind for people. Like you're not annoying. Like go on Instagram. Like there's annoying people. You are not
Yeah.
annoying by showing up. I promise. And also, half the time people don't see you because of just the way that Instagram works. So
hmm
get up on there every day, even if it's just a story, and just get into the practice of showing up for others. It's going to help you show up for yourself and vice versa. So,
Yeah. And then if you don't know what to talk about where you are. Be like, I don't know what to talk about. I just wanted to show up here to say hi and let you know
yep.
that I don't know what to talk about today, but I'm here and, send me a message if you tell me how you're doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be, I'm breaking the chains of oppression and I'm breaking systems and I'm doing all these major things. Those are hella fun. That's great when you show up that way in a big, 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 deep, 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 profound teaching wise man way. But it doesn't have to be that way every time. It can just
And
be like,
it's
hey,
that's
I'm
like too
here.
heavy.
Yeah,
You know, like
it's too
people get
heavy to
sick of
do all
that.
the
You're like, yo,
time.
fucking, can you just like talk about like bacon or something? I don't know. I don't
I
know why the
know,
hell
like
bacon just popped into my mind, but you get the point.
I totally get the point. Like I was watching like the Hillary Duff movie the other day and I shared that and I was like, you guys, do you remember this movie? The Hillary Duff
Yes.
movie. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be super profound or deep. It can just be, hey, this is like the smoothie that I'm having, or hey, these are my dogs, or hey, I'm going on my walk, or just touch base. And stories are a beautiful addition because it takes away that pressure of having to create a fancy static post with a caption
Mhm.
and doing all of that. Just show up in stories, post when you feel inspired, and make your post, like you said, don't just post to post when you have something to say, and
Yeah.
always be cultivating your voice by doing your inner work so that you do have something to say, because you do have something to say. But if you don't become still to actually hear yourself and ask those questions of what do I have to say, you will never have anything to say and you will always be copying someone else's content.
God. Well, that just rang so true. Please just take that clip, rewind it, and re-listen to it 5 times, and then go write about your feelings.
Go write about your feelings, guys. No, for real. And if you're not a writer, my brain works super fast. So I find that sometimes like journaling is too hard because I get like cramps in my hand and I can't actually
Same.
get out. So I voice note, you guys. There's different
Same.
apps, right? There's different apps. Go for a walk. I forget what the apps are called. I'll try and find some and put them in the show notes. But I just use my voice note on my phone, to be
Me too.
honest with you.
Yeah.
Keep it
Or
simple.
Voxer myself.
Yeah, or Voxer. That's a good one. I know that there are certain apps that transcribe the actual audio, but I don't know what those are offhand. But if you do not want to write, still do it. Talk to yourself. Go for
Yeah.
a walk. Be like, okay, how am I doing? Well, this is what's on my mind, and this is what I'm feeling, and this is like how I'm experiencing life, and this is what came up with a client, and this is what's coming up, and with my partner, and this is what's coming up for me, and just like check in with yourself, like you're literally talking to your best friend, and you're asking them like, how are things?
Yes. Oh, I love that. The checking in with yourself. Oh, Gabby, so much gold today.
So much
Oh,
gold. I'm so glad we got to connect. This time flew by.
I,
I
I,
know, I feel like we could talk for days, but I think this is a good place to kind of end it. So with that being said, with everything we talked about today and how awesome you are and amazing, do you have any like last minute like a last minute piece of advice in terms of just a snippet of gold that you'd like to share about anything?
yeah, I think, not I think, I know. Two things. One, your energy is everything. And protect it. And when it's draining, replenish it and sleep a lot. Because as somebody who never took the time to slow down or rest, I can say that being on the other side of that and starting to incorporate more stillness practices and sleep and rest into my life, I have so much more clarity. And when you're clear, you can show up in the pure, amazing fucking energy that just ignites worlds. It's so powerful. So energy, focus on your energy, do an energy audit. And secondly, is one of my core pillars in my business and in my life is trust. It's always been something that especially my mom has always cultivated in me as like, she gave me that book. I have it right here. All the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss.
My mom used to read that to me all the time.
Oh my God. Yeah. And it's like she gave it to me for every graduation. Like I've graduated from high school, undergrad, grad school. Like she just kept giving me the book. And she's like, Sam, you can do anything you set your mind to. Like she has always instilled that in me. And I never knew how I would do it, but I just knew with my deepest intuition that it would figure itself out. Like if I wanted it and I believed in myself enough, it would happen. And that is what has gotten me here is trust, 100%. Trust in myself and action, like messy fucking action. So, yeah, I think those three things: energy, trust, and take the messy action.
Oh my God, you guys. I love you so much. This is so awesome. Thank you for, giving us your wisdom, for really being real with us. That's something I know I can count on from you 125 million% of the time, which is why we're so close friends. Because we don't fuck around. Life is too short. We're here to serve. We're here to help. We're here to make a fucking difference. We have things we have to say, and we don't got time to waste, people. So, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. And where can we find you and how can we have more of you?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So you can find me on Instagram. Mostly I'm there at salty with a Y lifts. That was my handle from like years ago when I was in fitness. And it's just never changed. And I just it's just fun. So salty lifts. You can head over to my website, which is balancewithsam.com. My podcast is Balance with Sam. My Facebook, Balance with Sam. I don't really go on Facebook though, to be honest. And what else? I have my courses launching at the end of this month, which I'm so pumped for, which is called Tastes Like Freedom. And it's helping women stop dieting and make peace with their relationship with food and find that healthy middle ground, find that balance with their food, with their exercise, and going from a place to like nourishing themselves instead of beating themselves up in restriction. So that's going to be launching at the end of the month. I'm so stoked. And I'll send you a link for that.
Please, you guys, this is going to be incredible. Like if you liked hearing her on this podcast, her coaching, like working with her is a whole other level of this experience.
Yeah, man. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I go off on my fucking videos in my course, and it is so much fun. It's like my favorite thing to do. I get up in there, I'm like, you guys, so today we're going to talk about balance, right? Today we're going to talk about fear of food and what foods you're scared of. And so if food is something that you've struggled with, if body image is something that you struggle with, like this course is for you. It's super affordable. It's $397.
Wow, that's amazing.
Course. You have access to it for life. You also get Facebook group support, and the opportunity to hop on like guest calls with me. So it is like, I wanted to make this really accessible because I just think that this knowledge needs to be out there. And so I'm so excited. I'll share the link with you and I hope to see you inside. It's epic. The best thing I've created yet.
Yes. Well, you heard it here, guys. Get in on this program. I definitely always hit Sam up for like advice around this area. So she is an expert. If you are looking to really heal your relationship with your body and with food, talk to someone who has fucking done the work and done it, or is doing it still, because it's never ending. Same with me too, working through my trauma is like a daily, thing, daily practice, but that is life, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on. And this has been so fun. It's so easy. Like, I'm like, how long have we been talking? It feels like 2 seconds. And then I look, I'm like, holy shit, we've been talking for a long time.
I
And that's the
know.
best.
You're the
Like, that's when you know
best.
you found your people.
Yeah, find your people, guys. Find your soul fam, because like even if they're on Instagram, like they're out there.
They are.
All
Most
right,
of my closest
guys.
friends now, they're on
Yeah,
the.
no, but for real though, like
Mhm.
most of my closest friends are from
Yeah.
Instagram.
It's amazing. All right. I
Sponsor
love you, dude.
us. I love you too. And I love all of you guys listening. If there was anything that you took away, let us know. Drop a DM for Sam or for I. We'd love to hear your takeaways, excuse me, and to hear how this, has influenced you in any way. It's so important that we all support each other and lift each other up. There's no competition here. There's room for everyone. And just continue to do you. And I will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of the Conscious Leadership Podcast. I am so excited that you're here and that we are growing together. If there was anything that you took away from today's episode, I would love to hear about it. Take a screenshot, tag me with what you took away, and we will repost you. And if you are interested in leaving us a review on iTunes, we are going to give you a free copy of my Subconscious Reprogramming Workbook. It is an incredible workbook that helps you work through all of the deep programming that happened during childhood that might be holding you back in your life today. So super valuable. This is a $75 workbook. I am willing to just send it to you for free because I would love to hear your feedback on iTunes reviews. So shoot us a review, take a screenshot, and DM us with a screenshot of your review, and we will send you a free copy. The Light Leader community calls are also up and running. I'm so excited to be providing a completely free space for all of you guys to come connect, learn, grow, and step into your light leadership. These calls are every other Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and I will be dropping the Zoom link in my emails for my email list. So if you are not already on the email list, head on over to my page at om_therapy_coaching on Instagram and click the link in my bio to sign up for the email list. You will be on the list for all of these community calls. You can pop in whenever you'd like, ask us questions, and we'll also be providing trainings to help you do all the deep inner work to step into your leadership, and also the practical stuff to help you set up a business. It's going to be amazing. So come join us for that. The first call is going to be this Thursday, August 20th, and every other Thursday moving forward. And lastly, we have the OLA Ignite program. Yes! This is going to be launching its second round 2.0 coming up September 1st. So September 1st, we're opening the doors for enrollment. And October 1st, we begin the next round. So I'm super excited. All of my light leaders who went through this round just found tremendous success, financial freedom, personal freedom, confidence, and they're just changing the world in such unique ways that are so aligned with who they are as human beings and as soul leaders that it's just amazing to watch it happen. And I'm just so excited to provide this container and support for you. There are going to be guest coaches, OM-specific co-coaches, me, a 12-week online course, group calls twice a month, one-to-one call support, and it's just a constant hype up. So come join us. If you are a female light leader, I am calling on you to join our community. So we launch enrollment September 1st. Keep an eye out and we will keep you updated with all the latest. Thank you again for joining me. I am so happy to connect with you, and keep coming back and letting your powerful light leader shine. We love you, we see you, we need you, and we honor you.